right, welcome back to the Built Local podcast. Today we have Robin from Savory Girl Idaho on today. Robin, how you doing?
I'm doing so good. How are you?
Doing great, doing great. Thanks for hopping on. Well, for anybody who doesn't know what Savory Girl Idaho is or who you are, Robin, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, so I am a small catering company. I have about 7 employees, and we kind of have a niche in the Treasure Valley because we do grazing tables and charcuterie. And honestly, the biggest part of our business really is our grazing tables more than just
Mhm.
like a charcuterie board.
Nice.
And we are very unique in what we do because not only do we do charcuterie, we also do desserts that are all
Mm.
made in house. We make all of our own desserts, and we also have hot food, and we have a full service kitchen. So not only do I own my company, I also have a license to be a commissary kitchen. So I
Nice.
have people renting from me as well in the kitchen. And a lot of times, what happens is if something's not in my wheelhouse, I actually rent my kitchen to a private chef. And so we go back and forth and we refer each other. We work together at events and it works great. And yeah, and we have our own baker. So she does all the baking. And so we have, we have a unique niche in our industry because we do a lot more. So when people used to think of charcuterie, they're like, we want more girth. And so
Yeah.
we came to the table with more girth. I mean, we started adding in a lot of warm foods. We started adding in sandwiches and pasta salads and a lot more so
Mm.
that we have more of a variety than just cheese and salami and fruit and vegetables.
Yeah, okay, for sure. And so for anybody listening and for me selfishly, what's the difference between a grazing table and a charcuterie board? Is it just
A
size?
charcuterie board is just a board. It's just
Okay.
somebody comes in and they pick up a board, and the board has some cheese and some salami and some nuts, some fruits, all the fun stuff that everybody likes about a charcuterie board. But a grazing table is, we've done grazing tables all the way up to 300 people. So it's basically like a charcuterie board on steroids. The entire table is completely filled with everything you love about charcuterie. And then we add, usually a charcuterie board isn't going to get vegetables unless somebody asks for vegetables, because usually they'll just order a veggie tray if they want vegetables. So, your grazing table is going to have more vegetables, and it's going to have more like bigger sliced fruit, not just like the berries, the grapes, you're going to get the cantaloupes, and we really like to bring in variety. So we special order even our melons so that we have different melons than everybody else has. Like
Oh,
right
wow.
now, we have these lemon melons that are they're called lemon drop melons. They're so delicious. They're very unique. And so we try really to differentiate ourselves by getting different things too on the table. And
Yeah.
so we really like to just be very different and have people wonder too, like when they taste the fruit, they're like, wait, what is this? And we bring in watermelon radishes and turn them into beautiful roses. I lived in Europe for a long time, and I personally don't like to have salami with nitrites and nitrates. So I actually order, not 100% of it is nitrite and nitrate free, but I actually order product that comes from Europe. And that's what I use on my boards and my tables because it's a little bit cleaner. It has a little bit better flavor. And we just
Mm.
try to cater to people who are genuine foodies, like who really love food, because we
Yeah.
love to play with flavors and we love to surprise people too with the tables. Like they're, them to go like, wow, like what is this?
Yeah.
And have something to talk about too, other than just like regular conversation. They like literally are talking about the table.
Jeez, that's awesome. So, I mean, honestly, I was looking at the Facebook and the website before the podcast just to keep my ducks in a row, and my stomach is growling right now. So sorry if y'all.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I'm very hungry, but yeah, no, that's really cool. So taking it, I mean, above and beyond just throwing some cheese and stuff on on a board, right? That's incredible. So how did you get into kind of the catering side of things originally?
Honestly, it's been a crazy ride because it was never ever on my radar that I was going to be a caterer. My background really is in marketing, and I had kids, stayed home with my kids, and I literally would entertain my friends, and I love to have theme parties. And so everything I would make, I would put in my stories on Facebook. And then pretty soon people would be like, can you do that for me? And then somebody's like, can you do it for my cousin at her wedding? And then, oh, my sister's having a baby shower and a bridal shower. And then I was like, wow. And then my husband was like, yeah, you can't do this at home anymore, honey.
Yeah.
You have to figure out where you wanna go with this, because it's you're blowing up too fast, and legally, you have to work out of a commercial kitchen.
Yeah.
And so then I finally did get licensed, and I ended up working out of somebody else's commercial kitchen, and then I got featured on Channel 6 News, and then because they had seen some of my work come through the Eagle Facebook page, and they're like, "Wow, she does great work." So they messaged me, asked me if I could be on the news, and that's when I really decided it was time to really step up to the plate. So at that point, I was licensed, but I was just kind of lukewarm. I was working in somebody else's kitchen, and then after that aired, I was like, you know what? This is going somewhere much bigger than I ever dreamed of. And I'm so grateful for that, because
Yeah.
that gave me the push to get my own kitchen. And the coolest thing about this is I've never had to borrow any money. I have a whole
So
kitchen that I
cool.
put together all by myself, just working and saving and working and saving. I never had to take a paycheck. I never took up my own paycheck, because I really had a vision of what I wanted this to be. Once I just decided to get my own kitchen, I really wanted to, not only, be my company, I wanted to give opportunities to other small, bakers and chefs and stuff, because it's so hard in the Treasure Valley to find a commercial
Mm.
kitchen to work out of. And so that's kind of why I did the hybrid. I'm like, I'm going to get a kitchen for me, and it's really functional for me, and everything in the kitchen is mine, but people can come in and rent hourly or daily, or I have
Mm.
my private chef who rents monthly, month to month. He's in here, and we just work around each other. And sometimes in high season, it's a dance, but it always works out great. We even had a popcorn girl in here for a few months. She did all of our popcorn.
Oh,
And
heck
it was awesome. It was so fun. Yeah.
yeah, no, that's awesome. That's a huge decision to go from, obviously your own kitchen to renting somebody else's kitchen to now, your own home kitchen, I meant, and then
Yeah.
renting someone else's kitchen
Yeah,
and now
right.
having your own commercial kitchen,
Mm.
where you're kind of the one facilitating other businesses as well. Real quick, if you're a local business owner and you want to start getting customers from Google, you know how important Google reviews are. Every week, I talk to business owners just like you across hundreds of industries who know reviews matter, but never seem to have the time or the system in place to actually get them. That's exactly why I've spent the last 2 years building Review Harvest. We built it with a non-tech savvy business owner in mind, so anybody can set it up in minutes and start getting reviews today. It automates the process of getting real reviews from your customers, responding to those reviews, and repurposing them across your website and across your social media platforms. It's a set it and forget it software. You can get it all set up in about 10 minutes and you never have to worry about reviews again. We can integrate into the tools you're already using, so you don't have to change a thing. You don't have to train your team on how to request reviews. You don't have to request them manually. You get customers, we get your reviews. It's simple as that. And the first play in our playbook is what we call a review reactivation. You probably have hundreds or thousands of previous customers who loved your service but never left your review. So a lot of times our users can double or even triple their reviews just in the first couple months of working with us when we do that review reactivation. What has it been like to provide that opportunity to other business owners like you in the area when you knew how hard it was to get a commercial kitchen?
It's truly been a gift. I love, one of the things that I'm really passionate about is actually fellowship and bringing people together. And that's been really fun to just kind of get my name out there and get people in the kitchen. The connections are so big, especially in a place like the Treasure Valley where it's such a tight community. And it's just been really fun also to kind of see what other people do. Cause, like the popcorn girl, I was shocked at the volumes of popcorn she was putting out. And she was like me, where she started small and then
Mhm.
she didn't realize she was going to just blow up overnight. She ended up getting a truck, an actual food truck for her popcorn business, because she started getting put in every major grocery store locally, and then she does Saturday markets, and she was selling. It didn't matter how much popcorn she took, she was selling out, and more popcorn, and she was sell out, and and it was so fun just to watch the excitement and the joy, and to have all the fun fresh smelling popcorn in our kitchen. And it's fun also to build off of a community that's in catering, because they're, all the people that have worked in here, I wouldn't obviously rent to another charcuterie person. I just
Yeah,
wouldn't, just for privacy and all that stuff. But
yeah,
it's been fun also to have a private chef in here, because we bounce ideas off of each other. And sometimes he does get asked for a charcuterie board at his events, which they're his clients. I'm totally okay with that. He's mostly
yeah.
the chef, and they're like, oh, can you do a charcuterie? And so he'll even ask me how did you do that? And I'm like this, because there's no competition there. And he's taught me a lot about quantities. And as we've grown, I think the biggest event we did was for 350 people. And in AI and and the internet is only so good. It's truly, they're not in the kitchen making things. They cannot give you,
Yeah.
they can kind of give you quantities, but I just remember like once I figured out quantities on my own, I
Yeah.
actually went to AI and said, I'm having a party and it's this many people and this is the menu they want. What are quantities? The quantities were actually way off from what we
Really?
would do. And
Jeez.
so you really can't rely on, you can you know, you can rely on recipes and you can rely on the internet for a lot of stuff, but a lot of stuff is just trial and error and learning and watching what people are eating. And you know, I've gotten invited about, I'd say a couple, probably a dozen times I've been invited actually to stay at the events that I cater
Awesome.
as a guest, not as, you know, serving the food, because most of the time we drop off the food and then we leave.
Yeah.
And then they bring the dishes back to our kitchen. So it's rare
Mhm.
that, and sometimes we'll go clean up depending on the venue. But
Mhm.
it's interesting to actually be in the room and watch, you know, what people eat and get
Yeah.
feedback, because they a lot of times they don't even realize I'm the owner of the company unless the hostess tells them.
Yeah.
And it's interesting to hear like the excitement over the flavors and to see what gets eaten first and what we should have had more of, what we should have had less of, because we have learned
Yeah.
over time that people really don't eat vegetables. Like on the events that we have to go clean up, what's mostly left is vegetables. So we
Yeah.
kind of started paring down on vegetables and just giving less of what people don't eat and a little bit more of what people do eat, and just
Yeah.
tweaking their quantities a little bit and our pricing too to make sure that we're covering our costs,
Yeah.
even though we're giving a little bit higher product. So we are a little bit more expensive than a lot of the local girls. It hasn't hurt our business at all because we want to bring quality food to the table.
Yeah, for sure. No, I think that's one of kind of the recurring themes when I go and I see charcuterie boards and I see grazing tables. It's like all the good stuff is gone, and now you're left with the you're left with the what people don't want to eat, the vegetables or whatever, right? And so
Right.
that's so cool that you're like looking into that and seeing what you could do to adjust it. Because personally, like I want a lot of cheese. I'm a big mozzarella guy. I like mozzarella, and mozzarella it sometimes it's not even there, you know.
Right. Yeah.
It's,
Mozzarella, I love mozzarella too, but but do you like fresh mozzarella or just any mozzarella?
honestly any, but fresh is
Oh, that's
great.
funny. Yeah, because mozzarella I usually put on caprese skewers, or
Yes, yes.
we make these little antipasto skewers that we put mozzarella on, but it isn't, you're right, it isn't like a huge common cheese that everybody puts on a grazing table, because you try to kind of put more of like the wine cheeses
Yeah.
and like a higher end cheddar cheese or like something surprising.
Yeah, I was at an event on Tuesday, and they had those skewers, the crazy skewers with, like, the tomato and the
Mhm.
mozzarella, and I was kinda they were on skewers, so there's probably only, like, 40 of them, so I was trying to be polite the first time
Right,
through.
right, 'cause you want all of them. I get it, I get it.
I just grabbed
It's
3,
all of our
but as
favorite.
soon as I realized everybody went through, I went back and and
Right,
grabbed, like,
of
a full
course.
plate
I
of
would too. No judgment at all.
It sounds like your business grew, kind of blew up very organically, but I know you also had a marketing background, like you said. And so, how much of your business do you think, growing that fast organically was your marketing background and knowing what to do and what to say and when to post and how to promote it
I think
versus
it
trial and
definitely, yeah, I think it definitely helps,
mhm,
because I had other businesses that I had built online,
mhm,
so I was very comfortable posting, putting myself out there, not caring what people think when you get on for a video, and just really just being authentically me,
mhm,
so I think my marketing background helped a lot. I've done a lot of local influencing too, which I think also helped my
yeah,
business grow organically, and I'm also from the Treasure Valley, and I have a really big sphere, and I went to college here, and then I moved away, and I came back, and I kept like moving away. I moved to Italy, I moved to Germany, I moved to China, and every time I would, and this would be for years at a time, I would come back. Actually, my circle would change a little bit, but you still have your bigger circle. And so the next thing I knew, like when we moved back and decided to stay, I had like this huge circle of friends.
yeah,
And then after COVID, like Florida, Idaho's very similar to Florida politically. And so we had like half of California
good, yeah,
honestly flock to Idaho. And so, I got an even bigger sphere because I made so
yeah.
many more new friends. It's just been a true blessing, honestly.
Yeah, no, people talk about, Facebook ads or Google ads or reviews or local SEO. Like one of the ultimate hacks to growing a local business is just to know everybody. Like if you know everybody,
100%, 100%. If you know a lot of people and a lot of people know you, and do a good job, right? Because if you do a good job and you walk into somebody's house and you give your best best when it comes to catering. Your food alone will get you the next job. Because
Exactly.
I'm convinced the reason we get booked for grazing tables more than anything else that we do in this business, like
Mm,
we're literally doing 4 grazing tables this weekend. And like last weekend alone, we fed like 500 people.
jeez.
And so what happens is they've had your food and they know that that's exactly what they want.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so a lot of it is also, it's not only getting into people's homes and then somebody has the food and wants to have you next. It's also word of mouth. Like somebody saw your pictures on Instagram of your baby shower. Who did your baby shower? We loved that.
Yeah.
And that's also because I have not put a lot into Facebook ads or Google
Yeah.
ads. Very, very, very little. I think in the 3 years I've been in business, it's been less than $100 on Google and Facebook ads. And it's
Really?
usually when I'm trying to do something like, we decided we were going to do sourdough Saturdays because my baker does sourdough and so do I. And I was like, how fun
Mm,
would it be during the cold winter months to add that to our menu? And
yeah.
so I did advertise that because I felt like that's a different type of client. When I do a charcuterie class, I'll usually just pop it. I'll advertise it on Instagram for like 3 days. Not
Yeah.
much, just a little bit,
Yeah.
just to try and more than my sphere. Because your sphere really only goes so far, even if you have a big sphere.
Yeah, well, even on Facebook and Instagram nowadays, like, you've gotta pay just to meet your sphere. Like, you're gonna post on Instagram and 1 or 5% of your followers and stuff are gonna see it, just on organic
Mhm.
posts. If you just boost
Yeah.
it or pay a little bit, you'll get a bigger percentage. But, yeah, I think you said, positive word of mouth, catering and grazing
Mhm.
tables by nature are a group
Mhm.
event. People will be talking about who's doing this.
Right.
And so,
Mhm.
and, like, this is obviously isn't an issue for you, but somebody getting into this that's doing catering, that's doing grazing tables, the negative word of mouth transfers faster, just as fast, if not faster, than the positive, right?
100%.
If you have an
100%.
awful table, then if you have an awful grazing table, everyone at the event's gonna know, and they're all gonna tell their friends when they talk
Like,
about.
don't use them. Yeah, yeah, 100%. Yeah, for sure. Because
Uh,
and I've been to I remember getting invited to an event when I had first started, and it wasn't really officially in the industry, and I remember going to this grazing table, and I was like, "Wow." And I actually went in before people, because I noticed people were showing up, and they hadn't, and I just went to take a peek because I was really interested, and I noticed, like, they had moldy berries on there, and they had, like, it was almost as if they made it the night before and just rolled it out or something. I don't know what
mm,
happened there, but I actually went in there and I didn't want people to see that. I actually grabbed
took
a
it.
plate and started picking it all off so that
Yeah,
it looked better, because it also reflects on the host, right?
yeah, for
So
sure.
if you're doing a bad job, so instead of being like, oh my gosh, look what this person did, I actually very quietly just went in and
Yeah,
kind of threw it and took the stuff that I deemed like I wouldn't want somebody to see it, because you just don't know, from in the background what happened and why they ended up with moldy berries, because it is hard to control
yeah,
sometimes mold. Certain times of year mold is just a part of berries, and
yeah,
but this was more than a few. This was quite a few. So I did just go in and pick them all off quietly, didn't tell anyone, put them in the garbage and walked out, because I was like, I don't want the host to people to be like, "Ooh, I don't want any of that food that they paid all the money for," because
yeah.
it
For
yeah.
sure, yeah, no, that's so nice of you, and I think kind of the whole entire last 10 minutes we've been talking, we talk about how happy your customers are and how good the product is, and if somebody went and read about just a couple of your reviews, they would see that as well. Hey, real quick, before we get back to the video, if you're a local business owner and you're serious about getting more customers from Google, I want to invite you to our free school community linked down below. Inside, you'll get weekly coaching calls where I can personally help you one-on-one so you're never stuck wondering what to do next to get more customers. Once you join, we'll give you a custom-built ranking report to show you exactly how you're ranking against your competitors, and then we'll even show you the next couple things you can do to start ranking higher. We do all of these reports manually to make sure they're done right. You'll get our 50,000 Google review script, the same script we've used to help hundreds of businesses get over 50,000 reviews, showing you what to say, when to request the review, how to follow up and get that review without being annoying or awkward. And you'll even get a step-by-step checklist on how to optimize your Google business profile to make sure you're ranking at the top of Google. Sometimes you're making a few tweaks on that Google business profile can be the difference between never showing up on Google and dominating your area. All in all, you'll get access to a community of business owners and experts trying to grow their business just like you. It's a safe space to ask questions and get more tailored one-on-one advice. It's 100% free. I don't have a coaching program or a course to sell you. Just click the link down below, join the community, We'd love to see you inside. We talked a little bit about, you've got happy customers. Off air, we were talking about you got happy customers, but you're struggling to get people to leave your reviews. So, what were you doing before Review Harvest to try and get people to leave you a review?
Usually I would just, when people, because we actually get thank you cards in the mail. We get people texting us like, this was the best party. I'm so grateful. And, we have people that use us for every single event. And I would text them and I would actually just send them a link and be like, hey, thank you so much. Would you mind just posting that on Google? And
Yeah.
they would like, sure. And then they would forget. And then I would say, friendly reminder, can you just leave me a Google review, even if you just put 5 stars up there, or just copy and paste what you told me and put it on there.
Literally. Yeah.
And I think that a lot of people don't understand the importance of a Google review, because in order to keep because I do get a lot of business just straight through my website, because I track where my business comes from. If somebody says to me that they were referred by so-and-so, I actually track in my system. I track whether it's a referral, whether it's the website, whether it's, my networking groups, just to kind of see where business comes from. And we get a good chunk, especially around the holidays, a good
Mm,
chunk of our business is actually through our website. And we have people that order from out of state for family members, right? So your website is so crucial to your business, even in catering, because you do have people from out of state ordering. Even like yesterday, we delivered a charcuterie board to it was like a law office, and it was a
yeah.
board of directors meeting. And it was actually somebody on the board that couldn't be there that said, can you make, so they didn't even live here locally. They live in another town. Just send a board and for the board meeting. And she put a little
Yeah.
note. And
That's awesome.
she came straight through our website, and I could
Yep.
tell by the question she was asking, she hadn't looked at any of our social media. It wasn't a referral. And then I saw her signature on her email. I could tell she was from another city.
Yeah.
And so I sent her to my Instagram. She's like, wow, everything you do is beautiful. I'm so glad you sent me there. Now I know that, they're going to be getting some good stuff.
For
So
sure.
it is crucial getting, to get reviews. It is so important to just put you up there and on Google. And I don't want to pay for Google ads. I would rather be organically up there, because people are leaving me reviews. People are clicking my link, reviews, links, reviews, links, reviews. And I'm usually in the top 3 for
Yeah.
local charcuterie companies, but I want to be number 1 every single time.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
No,
mean,
for sure. Yeah, of
I'm not
course.
competitive at all.
Oh, that leads to a great business owner, a little competitive spirit for sure. But yeah, she probably went exactly to Google and said, catering company, charcuterie, board company, Treasure Valley, and there you were. Saw
Mhm,
191 reviews. I
mhm.
was like, oh, sweet. So
Yeah,
what was it like? I think y'all had about 60 or so reviews before working with us. What was it like getting started with Review Harvest, and how have the results been so
it
far?
was, I was shocked, honestly shocked. 2 reasons I was shocked. A, that you weren't somebody in China. 'Cause I did used to live in China, so I know the Chinese time zone and when they're online, right? So I was like, "Okay, this is definitely not that China's a bad thing." It was just nice that, you're interfacing with somebody that speaks your language on your time zone, all of that.
Yeah,
So that was super nice to see that there's a real face behind it, and it's done right here in America. And then, because you're giving a lot of your credentials. Like,
for sure.
you have
Oh, for sure.
access to, to my clients, and so I
Yep.
wanna make sure that my clients' access is in good hands, and that
Sure.
it's not just gonna end up to the wrong person and then they just start getting spammed
Yep. For
because it
sure.
got put in a database. So that's important to me. But I also noticed that, oh my gosh, I went from like about 60 reviews and now I'm sitting at like 190. And that happened. And I wanna think that that first month that we went with you, I think I got like 100 reviews
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
more. And I was like, holy smokes, that is worth the money, because I am not, that's one less thing on my plate to have to keep reminding, to have to send out my link. I didn't have my link like right off the top of my cuff. I'd have to go back in and I'd have to copy and paste it and send it
Yep.
to the next person and the next person. And it's so time consuming that to me, it's totally worth the money. And I love how you cap it. All the rest of the reviews you get that month are included in that
Yep.
299. I think it's affordable. I'm like I said, I'm in marketing. I think it's really affordable marketing because
Yeah.
people are looking at reviews, and and in some respects, it's 99% good, but you are going to get the people who feel hassled and they'll leave you 1 star because they get tired of getting the messages. Because I did have that happen one time where I got 1 star and no comments, but I went back in and, did some commentary. I tried to call the client. I
Mhm.
emailed the client. They didn't respond. I'm like, we'll make it right if you truly feel like we did a 1 star job. And then we got a 3 star. It's basically said it's not worth what you pay for is not what you get, or something like that, which
Mhm.
is, and that's okay, because
Yeah.
it's all right, because it's going to happen. and it doesn't, but it's no sweat off my back. If you feel that way, you feel
Yeah.
that way. All right.
For sure, and that, that 1 star, that 3 star adds validity to all the other 5 stars, because they show that a negative is possible. Because like you said, consumers are a little bit
Finicky.
jaded. Some of them have
Yeah,
been
yeah.
burned before, so they want
Yeah,
to
yeah.
know they see that, like, "Okay, well, all these other ones must be legit because they could get some negative ones." And honestly, on the review messaging side of things, compared to other review softwares, we are, like, so conservative. If they respond, if they click the link, if they do anything, we quit messaging them, and so a lot of times people just I don't know, when you message
Yeah,
people
yeah,
great.
and I
Right.
actually had somebody actually said, "You did our work, and I just want you to know I've gotten, like, the 5th message now." And then when I messaged you and you were like, "No, we don't send that many out," I was like, "Okay." And then I asked my husband, I put him in as a client, just see what happens, and I don't feel like you guys are harassing people at all. I feel like you probably, you've done your research, you have
Have
the
the
magic
data.
number, because I don't have the magic. You have the
Yeah,
magic. That's all
yeah,
I can say. Because but how you get reviews versus how I was really pounding the pavement. I would literally be like, "Here's my QR code. Please leave me a review." And they just wouldn't do it. Or they would even scan it and be like, and then they would forget to hit send. I'm like, "Oh no."
yeah. No, and that's, like, the most frustrating one to me is when someone texts you something amazing, right? They're like, "You were amazing, this was so great,
Mhm,
best recruiting company I
mhm,
ever worked with, whatever," and you're like, "Here's the link, just copy that message, paste it on Google, like, please just do that for me," and then
mhm.
nothing, just crickets, and you're like, "Are you serious? You just
Yeah.
told me, just tell Google."
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I love
So
it, I
I'm
love
I'm
it.
grateful, like, really, how fast it propelled me and helped me consistently get reviews because we are consistently working in here. This week, we probably send out 35 jobs alone, so we're
Wow.
consistently working, 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 and to not see reviews at all for all the jobs that we send out and keep sending out, and I was just getting frustrated. I'm like, why is it that we're sending links, we're emailing, we're texting links, we're offering QR codes, like why is it not happening? So you're making it happen, and we are really grateful.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate the kind words, Robin. Well,
Mhm.
one thing we always like to end with is the people watching this are business owners. A lot of them might be watching this because they're struggling to get customers or they're struggling to do whatever. And so, do you have a piece of advice that you might give somebody that's struggling to grow their local business that's helped you out?
I would just say to really understand what your weaknesses are and get other people to fill in for that. Like,
Mm,
if you really want to be successful, don't hold on to your money.
mm,
Understand that by spending more actually will bring you more business. Letting go of some of the tasks that are just, as a business owner, understand your strengths, show up where you're strong, and fill in where you're weak.
yeah.
I know what my weaknesses are. I know that I don't have time to chase reviews. I
Yeah.
know that, that I'm not good at accounting it all. Get a bookkeeper, get your people. Like, I have a bookkeeper. I have you that does my reviews. I have a web designer.
Wow.
If you want to play with the big dogs, even if you're a small business, let go of the things that you're not good at. I know I have a marketing background, but I'm not, I graduated from college in 1995. So
Mm,
I'm not the digital marketing generation. I know how to do all of the social media because I built all my businesses on social media, but I am not good at websites. I'm not good at searching for reviews and understanding that those are not my strengths and finding people to fill in where I am not strong.
awesome. Good word there. Well, Robin, we really appreciate you hopping on. Hope
Thank
you have a marvelous weekend. And if anybody has any questions for Robin, you can post them down below in the comments on YouTube. We'll have her website linked in the show notes. So if you are in the Treasure Valley area and you need a grazing table or whatever it is, her links will be down below. And yeah, thanks for hopping on.
Thank you.
Yeah.